All right, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Movie Talks and Chill. We're your hosts. I'm Tony Serrato.
I'm Gavin Butts.
I'm Patrick Wall.
And we have a nice black backdrop now.
Yes. And what the viewers or listeners can't see is the intense lights that are now on our faces.
Yes.
It is
Well, they
quite
can,
hot.
well, now that we're on camera, they can notice the beads of sweat
Yes.
coming off our forehead.
It is a work in progress. We'll get our gaffers were off this weekend.
Yeah.
So, right now we're just kind of testing the waters here.
We are the gaffers now.
Yes. We're the gaffers.
You know, Tony, I wanted you to tell me I was hot, not make me hot.
You're on fire.
You fire!
Oh, forgot I got to shut the old phone down here. Turn that silence is off. It's also golden. So anyway, welcome everybody for this episode. We are going to be talking Mr. Steve Martin.
Steve Martin movies.
We've done this now for a while, and
Yeah.
I was like, you know what, we have not hit on Steve Martin. I mean, there's a lot of people who still haven't talked about
Yeah,
it,
there are
yeah.
a billion fucking actors out there.
but I said, hey, you know what, Steve. I tried to Steve.
You know we are two wild and crazy guys.
So yeah, we'll start out with that. So he did start off, obviously. Well, he didn't start off, but he was never.
He made his mark on SNL, though.
yeah,
Yeah.
but he was never actually an SNL actor. Or, like
Oh, really?
he was never.
I thought he was a
No, he was never a
He
cast
was
member.
never a cast member. He was one of the ones that was like a frequent guest.
Oh,
like,
okay.
And he wasn't always hosting. Like a lot of times he would show up without even hosting. He would just be involved in some of the sketches. So like Christopher Walken did that.
Yeah.
Alec Baldwin.
Alec Baldwin does it a lot.
He
Yeah.
has the record for like most times appearing, right?
Most times hosted.
Hosted.
19, I think.
But there's some of them that'll just like show up randomly for
Yeah.
an episode. But I know Steve Martin a lot of times would go on and do like all the banjo stuff.
Yeah, yeah.
But he did do Too Wild and
What,
Crazy.
the Fest Trunk Brothers.
Yes.
Him and Dan Aykroyd.
Yep.
There are many women are here for us to make sex with.
So that was him and Dan Aykroyd, if I remember
Yep.
correctly. And then they would always have, the other people show up. What was the... I don't want to get too far into that because it's SNL, and we've done an SNL episode. But that's kind of, a lot of people kind of started getting to know him there. But let's kick it off as we always do. Favorite Steve Martin movie?
I will go with, I like Sergeant Bilko.
Oh, okay.
An
An indictment is not a conviction.
It is not a conviction. And I mean, I just like the banter between him and Phil Hartman across the
Yep.
whole movie. And Phil Hartman, in that one, he was the stern, which a lot of time when Phil Hartman was in there, he was like the stern, funny guy.
Yeah.
It wasn't, he had like dry humor almost. And,
Oh, yeah.
But it's so he would Steve Martin's going around, and Dan Aykroyd, he's the colonel
Yep.
for the base. He's like, why, Colonel? Have you lost weight?
Yes, my colonel.
Yeah, exactly.
Go.
And he throws his hand up underneath. Stupid ass salute ever.
Yep.
Was it Norman Schwarzkopf was actually in the movie
Yes.
at the end
Yes,
when
he
they were
was.
doing the hover tank test. And it's like, didn't you see? They were aimed at target 3, but they blew up target 4. Oh, it's smart weapon, sir. And so then he finally gets Phil Hartman to confess that he actually destroyed or made sure the hover tank couldn't work.
Yes.
Son, I think we've got a great base in Antarctica for you.
It was kind of similar to, obviously that was strictly, it was a comedy based off a TV show.
Yeah.
Because it was an old TV show that they made into a movie. But if you really look at the comparisons to that in Stripes,
Yeah, there
So-
was a lot
Yeah,
of
but in
similarities.
Stripes, they use like a Winnebago.
yeah, well, it was like a special assault vehicle. It was,
Right.
like it was a prototype.
Yep.
That they ended up just stealing to just go on a joyride.
Yeah, but I like how the production crew really didn't do a whole lot to change it from looking like a Winnebago.
That was the whole reason. It was supposed
Exactly.
to look
It was
like
an
just
urban
like a,
assault vehicle.
yeah, it was supposed to look like it was just traveling through that
Right.
way.
All
right.
Nobody would really have
So,
anything.
do we think that that was planned from the get-go, or once they figured out they really couldn't change the design, they wrote it into the script? Like, we have to we need a reason why this still looks like a Winnebago.
It's Hollywood.
yeah.
Who knows? They probably did do that and just said, you know what, leave it. It's a Winnebago. We can't do anything with this thing.
Can we get a tank from the Army? No.
We got 10 grand left in production, and we need that for the soundtrack.
Holy shit, that's a cool Winnebago. Let's get that.
Yeah, it wasn't exactly like turning the DeLorean into
yeah.
a time machine.
But even back then, that DeLorean only cost about $5,000.
There you
Yeah,
go.
exactly.
For the actual car.
For the actual car. Yeah.
Yeah, and not to rent, like they bought that bitch.
Heck yeah, man.
Bought 3 of them.
So what about you, Patrick? What is your...
Mine is Cheaper by the Dozens. I remember
okay.
seeing that in the theaters and almost wetting myself that movie was so funny. It's just so funny to see Steve Martin just trying to wrangle these, like, 12 kids. Like, they range from the kid was born, like, 5 years ago to the oldest daughter's bringing home Ashton Kutcher as a
Yep.
the boyfriend, and he drives the LeBaron. And he's very proud of that.
Very proud of the Baron.
But
Wearing his freaking gloves.
Yep. And Ashton Kutcher, I think this was like his first and second. It was one of his like first roles outside of That 70s Show, because
Yeah.
I know he did Dude, Where's My Car first, and then he may have done something else in between that. But I remember seeing, that's the guy from That 70s Show.
That guy.
Kelso.
Yeah,
Kelso.
but yeah, that movie is just hilarious. Steve Martin, Ashton Kutcher, everybody in that movie they play well. They work well with each other. They banter off of each other really well. I just remember once again seeing that 2010. So I was fresh out of college, but I was almost peeing myself. It was just so comedic to me.
Were you at a frat party?
I was not. I was
That
just
might
out
have
of
been the
college.
reason why you're pissing yourself. Now, was Tom Welling in that? I thought Tom Welling was in
Welling?
Cheaper by the Dozen.
He might have been, but this was.
I-
Yeah, he was. He was
Okay.
Charles Baker.
Okay,
This is
I
before
remember
it really-
Superman being in there. Smallville Superman.
Yeah, I didn't watch Smallville
Yeah, he was-
until like.
He's the oldest son.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I didn't watch Smallville until I don't know about 5 years ago. So if he was in that movie, I was like, oh, that's some guy. It's not Dean Cain, so I don't know if Superman's in the movie or not.
Now, just to gain us a little bit of points, because we've talked about, I know it's not Steve Martin, I don't want to harp too much on it, but just speaking of that, they do have a podcast, him and Michael Rosenbaum, called Talkville.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Did
it's
they
a
just
video.
go over each episode?
Yeah,
Oh,
but
okay.
at the beginning one, you should watch the first one, because you could tell, even though they've been in the business and they've done acting and stuff like this is something completely new to them when they started it.
Oh,
You
really?
could just tell.
So what do I do? Just talk?
Basically,
Yeah.
well, they're talking, but at the beginning of it, because it's a whole video setup, so it's like him and him across from each other,
Right.
Like in a casual small room. I actually might want to look at their lighting setup too, because they're actually in a small room.
Yeah.
And they have one guy that's kind of off to the side. I guess he's just kind of monitoring everything, but he's kind of involved with them. But he says, hey, we're just starting this. We talked about doing this, blah, blah, blah. And Tom Welling starts talking, and I think it was Michael Rosenbaum or one of the guys you can't see off camera, but he's, oh, sorry. And he's like, oh, I got to talk into the mic. So you could tell, somebody was checking the audio levels.
You just hear,
Yeah. But anyway, that was just a real quick side note, but check it out. It's actually not bad. So if you guys hear us,
Talkville.
we're promoting that one there, Talkville.
Yeah,
I like
yeah.
Michael Rosenbaum. I like
do
Tom Welling.
crossover, guys.
Yeah. Not sponsored, but we're open to
I've
discussion.
seen every episode of Smallville.
Hashtag
and I've
not
seen
sponsored.
Me too.
And I've seen Pool Hall Junkies with Michael Rosenbaum.
And
But-
I've seen Lucifer where Superman joins in.
Yep,
What's
Tom
his-
Welling.
Yeah,
he
joins
came in
Lucifer.
like the 7th season. or
Yeah, it's when
something.
Netflix picks it
Yeah.
up.
So, but anyway, that was a quick side note. But so you have Cheaper by the Dozen.
Yes.
All right, Tony.
You had Sergeant Bilko. So
I want to guess The Jerk for you.
it's close. So I had 3 that I was trying to figure out which one was my absolute favorite, and one of them you probably would probably guess, and it's not.
Three Amigos.
No, actually.
Oh.
The Man with Two Brains.
No, that's not even up there. But I did like The Man with Two Brains. Like I liked his old stuff. So my 3 that I had trouble, and then I'll tell you my number 1 pick was The Jerk was one of them.
Okay.
All of Me
All
was
of
the
me.
second one.
Don't know that one.
That's him and Lily Tomlin. She's dying, and she's supposed to be like reincarnated, or her mind is supposed to be put into this younger girl who's going to be the heiress of like all her. She's got a lot of money or whatnot. And Steve Martin's walking by, and something happens, and it goes her like soul or essence goes into like this bowl thing. It's like a whole ritual, and the bowl flies out the window and hits Steve Martin in the head. So she ends up inside him.
Oh, shit.
So she's got
It's like
control
Chevy
of.
Chase's cult from Community.
Yeah.
Like, she's not dead.
Yeah.
She's just ascended to a new level.
Yeah. But no, she's actually in him. So like if he looks in a mirror, he sees her, but he's him. But she has control of half his body on the one side, and he has control of the other. So they're like trying to coordinate and figure out, and then he's trying to get her back out of him so that she could go into the right person. But that was the second one. But the third one is, and you mentioned, I was shocked that you even said you knew this movie, was Roxanne.
Okay.
But Roxanne is my favorite Steve Martin
So,
movie.
peek behind the curtain. We were talking about this yesterday, and like
We
Gavin-
literally have a curtain now too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
literally.
Gavin mentioned like we could talk about all of his movies, the two with black hair and all the rest with white, and we were all trying to figure out what the fuck is he talking about with black hair. And then I just threw in the group chat and was like, he was in Roxanne. He didn't have white hair. He may have had black hair.
I'm gonna find one.
Not white. And Tony replies immediately, I'm genuinely surprised you know about that movie.
I said shocked and impressed.
Yes. But what you didn't ask is if I've actually seen the movie. I've only seen bits and clips
But the
of
fact that you even brought it up and knew that Steve Martin was in it was impressive. But
You're welcome.
thanks,
Tony.
man. I was like, no, what the? Well, it was like a shock, kind of like, yeah.
I could see you being at the bar just like, guys, you know what Patrick just said to me? He knows about a very obscure Steve Martin movie.
I had a moment of ambivalence. Like, I wanted to not like that you knew it, but then I was impressed that you knew it. Then I hated myself for being impressed at you, and then I was like,
Looks like he
The
had.
bar is very low.
yeah, I know. Right?
Looks like he may have had black hair and pennies from heaven, but
That's
it's
like
also a hat.
1960 something too.
No, it says 81.
Okay. But yeah, so Roxanne, I will say, is by far, because I remember I even saw that as a young kid. You really shouldn't get the movie, like, because I saw that when I was like 9-10 years old, I think, if I remember correctly.
Giant nose.
But yeah, but I mean that was like
Well,
the funny part of it.
Yeah.
Play off of Cyrano.
Yeah.
And Cyrano himself had a bigger
Yes.
nose, right?
And so, but the thing is, like, the point of the movie is kind of like a comedy love story. It wasn't a rom-com, so to
Yeah.
speak. I mean, it kind of was, but it just wasn't something that a young kid should really fully get.
No.
Okay, so technically he had black hair in Dead Men Don't Wear Plaid.
Okay. When did
But
that
that's
come out?
because it's black and white. So it's kind of
What year?
inverted. This came out in 1982.
Okay.
But once again, the movie before that, he had white hair.
Well, the Cherokee's Salt and Pepper, and that's 79.
Yeah.
So.
We'll figure out black hair. I personally don't remember any black hair Steve Martin unless he dyed it. I do not remember it. But
I don't remember him ever dying. I think he just let it go.
yeah. No, I'm saying if he died for a part.
Yeah, right,
You know,
right.
That's the only thing I can think of. But yeah, no, Roxanne, great movie, love story. Daryl Hannah's in it.
Mm-hmm.
There's quite a few people, and I can't remember all the names off the top of my head. A lot of them are like people that you've seen in movies. It's those actors that you see them all. They're in everything.
They were
but
in
you
every
don't know.
80s movie.
Yeah. But he's a firefighter, and he new girl in town. He starts falling in love with her, but there's another new firefighter that moved out from Vegas, who's like the hunky, good looking guy, but he's great with him, but he can't talk to him. Like he goes on like all these dates, but it's basically just physical. But he can't like romance or really know how to talk to women. So Steve Martin helps him out, but ends up being that she's falling in love with the other guy, the hunky guy.
Sounds like
Because
Hitch.
of she's fallen in love with him because of what Steve Martin, like the letters that he's writing, because he has him writing her letters,
Right.
but he's writing them all. But the funniest part about that movie, and it's something that you'd have to really just be there to see it. It's he's walking by. It's a no reason part for the movie. He's walking down the street. He goes to a newspaper, like a little newspaper stand thing, puts a quarter in, gets a paper out, starts walking. Maybe he takes a few steps, opens paper, breathes. He's like,
Oh, yeah,
screaming,
when he
and then he
starts
runs
screaming.
back, puts another quarter back in, and puts a paper back in the machine, and just walks off.
Sorry for anyone
hilarious.
who listens to us using headphones.
It's hilarious. It's
your
hilarious.
eardrums.
But there's like no reason for the scene, but it's hilarious. That's one of my favorite things. And
So
when
they
the
don't
guy-
explain what he read that caused
No,
that?
he just walks up, gets a paper, freaks out for a minute, folds it back up, puts another quarter, puts it back in the machine, and just walks off. But the other good part is when he's in the bar and they're all drinking at the bar and stuff, and then the one guy bumps into him or something, calls Steve Martin Big Nose, and he's like, oh, Big Nose, that all? He's like, well, you think of something better? He's like, yeah, and he's like, here, throw a dart, and whatever number it hits, that's how many insults I'll come up with or better things, and the guy I think ends up hitting like 20 and something like that, and so he ends up doing it. He goes through all these things and making all these insults on himself, and then the final one, he's like, pardon me, your name wouldn't happen to be Dick, would it? And then that starts the bar fight, which he then wins.
Yeah.
So Roxanne, solid movie, love it. Check it out.
Yeah.
I'm really genuinely surprised he didn't point at me with doing that.
Check it out.
Okay, there we go.
Check it out.
So the audience probably just heard me while you were talking about your screaming, ranting,
Screaming.
Stephen Martin. I was looking up because he was in the Muppet movie, and I tracked down what character he played in that, and it was the insolent waiter, and then I tracked down a photo of him from that movie, and he's still fucking salt and peppered hair.
The insolent waiter.
There's like a
that's what he's
special he
credited
did
as.
with him and Kermit the Frog. He did like this whole big special. It's like Steve and Kermit sing songs.
Sing song.
It's not easy being green.
Yeah.
Never is.
You know, it's not easy being great.
But the one I thought you guys would think of would be my favorite one would be Planes, Trains, and Automobiles. But it's a great movie.
It is.
I love the movie. It's classic, but I think it's because he's not fully the lead. It's like
Yeah,
he's
I think
shared it
John
with John
Candy,
Candy.
carries the brunt
Yeah.
of that lead.
Yeah.
Steve Martin's kind of a little reserved.
Although Steve Martin does have the best part in the movie. He's like, give me a fucking car so I can get the fuck out of here right fucking now.
4 fucking wheels and a seat.
Four fucking wheels on a seat.
So one that was really close to my number one that I went cheaper by the dozen just because it is so funny is the Pink Panther. He played Inspector Clouseau.
The Pink Pencil.
Yeah.
See, I was not a fan of it, only because I like the original Pink Panther movies.
I mean, that was good too, but I mean, he did a really good job as Inspector Clouseau.
I every time the scene comes on where he's trying to say, I would like to buy a hamburger. That entire scene, I piss my pants. I would like to buy a hamburger. Yeah. I would like to buy toi.
Hamburger.
I can't. Every time it comes, I sit there. No matter what the hell I'm doing, I sit there and I watch that scene just so I can piss my pants.
Boy, guy.
And then in the second one, they have like this SWAT team that comes down and is like, "Hey, what's the password?" Hamburger. What? Hamburger. He just fucks it up the whole time.
Boy, guy.
I know a fan of the show, their favorite Steve Martin movie is Father of the Bride.
Oh,
That
that's
one.
a good
No,
one.
those are good.
Yeah,
Those are good.
I've only seen that once, but it came out in 1991, so I was 6 at that time, and I think I saw it later when I was in high school. I don't really remember that much of it. I just remember, I think the daughter was overseas, like doing a course abroad or something like that, and she comes home engaged. So then they have to plan like a wedding in like 2 weeks or something like that.
And Steve Martin was or not Steve Martin, Martin Short.
Mm-hmm.
Wasn't he like the coordinator or
He
something? The
might have
planning
been.
coordinator.
Yeah, they've done a lot of. They've got that show that they're doing together with.
That like murder thing or something.
Yeah,
like,
on Hulu.
like people get
With
away with
Selena
murder or
Gomez.
something like
Yeah,
that. Or
murder in like
Only murder in this building or
Yeah.
something like that.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
something like that has to do with murder.
Yeah.
People
Yeah.
get murdered.
I do want to check that out. One of
Well,
these
another one that I really like that he did.
days. Leap
and-
of Faith.
This is another one that is more of like an ensemble cast, so he wasn't like the lead. I mean, he was the lead by the by the poster,
Yeah.
but it was an ensemble cast of a lot of people. But again, I saw it when I was a kid, and again, not a movie really a kid should get was Parenthood. Because that had everybody, and I mean that Rick Moranis was in it, Keanu Reeves was in it,
Yeah.
a lot of people
Young
were in
Keanu
it.
Reeves.
Yeah, and then
Wasn't that like one of the last ones Rick Moranis did before he retired?
because he did I think the Honey I Shrunk the Kids came out after that.
Okay.
Yeah,
And
Honey
I know he
Shrunk the
did.
Kids came out in the 90s. And that's when he left acting to take care of his kids. He's coming back. He's been in a couple of things lately. I think his kids are all grown and off doing their own thing. Well, I
yeah.
remember he left acting because his wife passed away, and he didn't want his kids raised by someone else.
Yeah, he
Yeah.
just wanted to focus on family.
Yeah.
And at that point, he had a few dollars in the bank.
Yeah, a couple.
Yeah, a couple.
He was still getting residuals as a Mackenzie brother.
and off the Spaceballs of the movie.
Yeah.
Spaceballs!
That
The lunchbox!
And Little Shop of Horrors, and
Yep.
Honey, I Shrunk the Kids, Honey, I Shrunk
Which-
Ourselves, Honey, I Blew Up the Kid.
Which Steve Martin was also in.
Yes.
Little Shop
See,
of Horrors as the
I saw that
dentist.
here.
That's
That is
right.
the
I forgot
greatest
about
thing
that.
about that
Yeah.
movie. Now that one, he might have had black hair.
Okay.
Look that
I'm
up.
looking it up.
Look it
I
up.
want to say he might have had black hair in that one because I remember he was the biker, or he had the bike and he had the motorcycle. He always wanted to inflict pain. You'll be a dentist. Say now spit. But he always was beating up Audrey. Mm-hmm. She fell. He's like, stupid woman fell off the motorcycle again. I'm sorry, doctor. I love that though.
He did have black hair in
Yep,
Little Shop of
but
Horrors.
that was dyed because that's a
Oh
wig.
yeah,
Yeah.
That's not.
All right, we
That's
found
not-
the black hair
Yay!
Steve Martin. Woo! It's like Waldo. Like, can you find the black haired
Can
Steve
you
Martin?
find the black-haired Steve Martin?
But no, his part in Little Shop of Horrors was phenomenal. Just the guy who wants to inflict pain on people, and then he's got Bill Murray in there, who was going in, who likes pain, and he's getting so pissed off at him because he's actually enjoying all the pain. And he wants him to actually be hurt. And then Bill Murray's got that scene where he's got all those foam things in his mouth, and to keep him from biting his tongue or whatnot. And Bill Murray's sitting there, he's trying to hurt him. He's like, it's the professionalism that I respect.
Speaking of him as a dentist, he was in a movie called Novocaine.
Yes, so that's a Steve Martin movie that is kind of like when Robin Williams did 1 Hour Photo.
Oh.
He did like almost like a he wasn't a creepy person, but it's a very serious movie. Like he ends up getting mixed up with this girl who, like, because I think he's a dentist in that, and she starts getting prescriptions from him for narcotics, and I think she starts faking them, if I remember correctly, like under him. So he starts getting investigated, but he gets in this whole triangle thing with her. But it's a very serious movie. It's not a comedy.
Cirrus.
Sirs.
Very Cirrus.
So yeah, just Novocaine. Yeah, I almost forgot about that. It was a weird time. It was a weird character for him to. It was a good movie. He was good in it, but it was odd seeing
Like
him that way.
out of his element.
Because even when you see Steve Martin like in serious mad anger mode, it's always geared towards comedy.
Yeah, right.
Because he's clearly gotten angry in almost every one of his movies, and like Parenthood, he gets pissed off, and Planes, Trains, and Automobiles, and almost everything he's getting mad. But it's still funny. Like this was just serious.
Yeah.
There was a goofy one he did with Eddie Murphy, Bowfinger.
Oh yeah.
For the longest time, I got that one confused with Kingpin. For like the longest, I don't
What?
know why. Don't tell me. This is the way my fucked up wiring in my brain works. But I would always get those two confused.
I think I just had a stroke.
Yeah.
I think I had one when I was a kid. This is why I confused the two movies.
It's a good thing Haley's friend isn't on right now.
Yeah, exactly. He whipped his ass. But so like Bowfinger is Eddie Murphy, and he plays two parts in there. So they're Eddie Murphy's original character.
He's supposed to be like a famous guy, right?
Yeah, he's a famous actor, and so in there, Steve Martin's trying to put on this low budget film, and he's selling it as Eddie Murphy's character in there, like he's going to be in it. So they basically just find this lookalike who looks exactly like him, but he's got braces and he's like a huge nerd. So Heather Graham's in it, and like she takes her top off.
Shocker.
In a scene.
What movie is she in that she doesn't take her top off?
Exactly.
I mean, no one's complaining. I'm just genuinely asking if there's a rubbish film out there like that.
So like she does it, and he just turns around to the camera. He's going, "They're awesome." Like an 8-year-old would see boobs for the first time. You're awesome.
Marzipan?
Marzipan, come here. Yeah, see, that's why you need to carry an extra 20 on you. Gotta add some skin.
That's some skin.
Going away from his like film work a little bit, I've heard that he's a real hassle to work with on set. Have you guys heard the same thing?
I haven't talked to him in a while.
Yeah.
You gotta call him
Every
up.
time I do, he's always in a
Stop
good
returning my
mood.
phone calls,
Good. No, but everything I've read, like he's a real, like him and Chevy Chase are like just real.
Well, Chevy I've heard of. Like
Yeah.
I've heard, that's like endless rumors about him. But I haven't really heard anything about Steve Martin.
Oh, okay. Well, maybe I'm just getting him confused with Steve Martin because they both had white hair since the 70s.
Yeah. Well, they were in, Three Amigos together.
Yep.
Yeah, that's well,
And somehow that
hell.
movie
I
got
was
made.
in Three Amigos. Everyone was in that fucking movie.
I'm still here, Wapo.
Came out the year after I was born, so clearly I was in there. I was a baby.
I was a baby. I was a baby in the movie.
I was the baby of the movie.
I was like Steve Martin and Martin Short both fire up, and Chevy Chase is reading his line. He just fires to the side. He's like, "You shot the invisible swordsman. You shoot up. Why didn't you shoot up?" And they had to find the singing bush.
Yeah, I remember that.
Excuse me, are you the singing bush? And it just keeps singing.
But if you go like classic Steve Martin, like the Jerk, that's just phenomenal. Just the whole growing up in the black family farm. I can't remember where they were supposed to be, in Louisiana or something, or Georgia or something. I can't remember.
yeah.
Kentucky,
St.
maybe.
Louis.
Was it St. Louis?
Yeah.
Wow, it was way off.
Upon
But
figuring this out,
Samsonite.
he heads north to St. Louis to find himself.
was he near the Ozarks? Because that's where it seems like he is. It's almost like in the
He was-
backwoods.
He was living in Mississippi, and then he went up to St.
Okay,
Louis.
Mississippi. That's what. All right, close to New Orleans.
Yeah, right there.
And basically the same place, just
Yes.
a different name,
Yeah.
different governors, different rules.
One has counties, one has parishes.
It's all the same.
One speaks French, the other one doesn't speak.
But I
At
like
all.
when he gets mad and he's leaving, he's arguing with his
Sorry
wife,
to anyone
whatever,
in
and he's like,
Alabama.
I don't need anything. I don't need any of this. He said, except this lamp. I only need this lamp and this pen and this chair. I don't need anything but this lamp, this pen, and then this. Here.
And this-
It's like- but he creates that thing for the glasses to hold them up,
Right.
and it ends up making everybody cross-eyed, and he
Yeah.
ends up getting sued for it.
Well, then he like starts tapping his feet and like it's like he calls his parents, "Mama, I found my rhythm."
So there's something he's accredited to called Twilight Theater.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just Twilight Theater, also known as Steve Martin's Twilight Theater. It's a 1982 American comedy show created by Steve Martin. That is the only description I get. And the top cast is, number 1, Steve Martin. Various characters, number 2.
Steve Martin.
Yeah. Leslie Nielsen, various characters, number 5. And then Michael York and Pat Prophet. That's all that's listed.
Okay.
I'm going to track this down and see what the fuck's going on.
What are you doing, Steve?
You're awesome.
Steve, what are you doing, Steve?
I can't bring people back from the.
Oh, he had black hair in My Blue Heaven.
That was hard for me to not even put in my top 3.
See?
That
My-
Really a dye job.
That
Yes.
one I haven't seen.
You haven't seen My Blue Heaven?
I've never even heard of it
So,
until this right now.
All right, so I may have told you this before. I'm going to tell you this again. This is actually the same person who wrote Goodfellas.
Mm-hmm.
Wrote My Blue Heaven. It's actually the alternate story is of Henry Hill. It's actually another.
Okay.
It's a comedy version
Yeah.
of the story of Henry Hill.
Okay. All right.
It's because obviously Goodfellas was like the whole mob thing, you know,
Yeah.
leading up to him going into witness protection.
Right.
This is all when he goes into witness protection.
Okay.
He doesn't go by Hank Hill. He's a completely different. His name is Vinny. I can't remember his last name in the movie,
Vinny Two Toes.
but he's basically
Vinny Anatoli.
and Rick Moranis is in that as well, and also Joan Cusack.
Oh,
So
okay.
Joan Cusack, Rick Moranis plays the FBI agent that's getting
Barney
him through Barney.
Cooper Smith.
Cooper Smith. He's the FBI agent hired to him to keep him in wraps and keep him in line until he goes to trial
Okay.
and help him settle into his life, his new life in witness protection. Joan Cusack is a prosecutor or
Hannah
policeman
Stubbs.
and so he keeps going back to crime undercover or while he's in witness protection. She keeps busting him, but Barney has to keep bailing him out and basically saying you can't charge him with anything. You know, he's a government witness. So they end up clashing, but of course it's a love story. The two of them end up falling in love, Rick Moranis and Joan Cusack's characters.
I thought you were going to say Rick Moranis and Steve Martin.
No. No, but they do go out and they do tango together. But it's got so many great lines in it. There's one where he gets busted for stealing a bunch of books. It's like all this same book. And she's like, we found this in the trunk of your car. He's like, yeah, I wanted to read it. She's like, she's like, but I found like 1,000 copies. Like, that's in case I wanted to read it more than once. But he's just like, he's stuck in this little, regular town. But he ends up going into this animal shop, like this pet shop, and he ends up running into one of his old mob buddies who also went into witness. So then they all are friends. And he ends up showing them that all these other mob guys that turned informant, they're all hanging out together, and they decide they're going to start their own new organized gang amongst themselves. And because half of them are like, because they get their government checks because they're in witness protection,
Right.
but once they stand trial and once they serve their purpose, the other guys, they don't get their checks anymore. So he just thinks that he's going to get it forever, and he's like, oh, at least you get your check, and he's like, yeah, that's what they tell you. And he's like, how long do you think they give for? He's like, forever. And he's like, yeah, here's to forever. So that's why they start their own mob ring and stuff. But it's just got so many good things in it. And he's like, meets this girl in a grocery store. And he's like, hey, he just walks up there, sitting in the frozen food section. She's like, you shouldn't stand so close to this frozen food section. She's like, why? He's like, because you can melt all this stuff. But I mean, it's obviously not a very good Italian accent that he does, but it's strictly comedy, but it's hilarious. My Blue Heaven.
Because you can make all this stuff.
And the best thing is, because I'm assuming you're not going to watch it anytime soon.
Hey, you don't know that. I just finished Haunted Mansion and Get Out.
That just came out, though, and you've actually applied yourself, and that was a Disney movie, so...
And it was a really good Disney movie.
It's goddamn
actually.
delightful.
But he's got...
Better than Delightful.
Joan
It's fucking
Cusack,
amazing.
in the movie My Blue Heaven, Joan Cusack has a kid, and he's in Little League, and he's playing, so... Anyway, the whole thing is he's going through all these... mob stuff that he's doing, and finally he's cleared and everything, but he's been raising money, and they think he's been raising money to steal it or for something to get out of town. He ends up raising all the money for the kids to build upgrade their ballpark stadium.
Okay.
But he gets all the kids on that, or as Joan Cusack's kid, the team he's on, he gets them all new uniforms, and they're basically they're baseball uniforms, but they look like suits. Suits. It's like one piece, but it's like a suit jacket, and they all come out and they look like they're in
Do they have
tuxedo
bow ties on?
t-shirt.
not bow tie. It's just like a tie and just like a nice dress shirt underneath the suit jacket, but that's their baseball uniform that he ends up buying.
That's amazing. I want to play baseball on that.
We're called the informants.
I can watch and just one of the kids slides into the second. He's like, "Oh, hey,
hey. Yeah, safe. He takes out, puts gun up. What? Safe, huh?
So we found the two black-haired Steve Martin movies.
Yep.
Yeah, exactly.
One was a dye job and
Yeah.
the other was a wig.
Yeah.
But they do exist.
Yes.
Because according to this, he's been Salt and Pepper since 1978, was when he was in Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band.
Sergeant Pepper.
It doesn't even...
Still the best sergeant is Bilko.
Oh, his name was Max Kerrigan. He wasn't in top billed, so I actually had to go into IMDb and find his character name. But he wasn't too far down on the list either. He just started off being, I'm fucking Steve Martin.
Yeah.
What are you gonna do?
Yeah.
He's Steve Martin.
Did either of you ever see his movie Bringing Down the House with Queen Latifah?
Yeah.
It sounds familiar, so I'm gonna put that in the maybe column. But
I didn't like it that much. I mean,
to
it was
be fair,
okay.
the only movie that I could really remember with Queen Latifah is Taxi,
Ah, yes.
and that movie sucks
Well,
so bad.
It
I
also...
when Jimmy Fallon pulls up in his Daewoo,
Yeah.
she's like, "I'm not opening. I'll get Daewoo on my hands."
Yeah.
Daewoo lasted 3 years. There's 5 of those cars left.
Daewoo.
But so he's
I wonder how much money they paid to be.
he's
in
a
that movie.
lawyer in this movie, and he's trying to basically go back and, or she's trying to get him to go back and reopen her case. But so she comes into the house and ends up, getting him working with his kids and stuff, and it's funny. She's teaching his son to read, and so she's teaching him to read Playboy. And he's in there. He's like, "Oh my God, what is it that you're reading?" "Oh, wow, you're reading. Good, son." He's like, "Dad, what's a rack?" "It's a country."
What's a racket to country?
And he goes, so at the end of the movie, her boyfriend or whatever, it ends up that, spoiler alert, he set her up. And Steve Martin's got to get in there into the club and try to get back there to talk to him. And he gets all dressed up. He buys this dude's clothes and he comes in with a jukebox and he's swinging going across there. And so he goes in the back and he starts, trying to talk different. He's like, "Hey man, what's that shit you wearing?" He's like, "Oh, you don't like my outfit? That's because I got it from your mama." He's like, "All right, cut the shit." I cut the shit.
I got it from your mama.
That's because I got this from your mama.
What are you searching for?
Apparently he was in Baby Mama.
Yes, he was.
I barely remember that movie.
He was the her boss.
Okay.
And
Tina Fey's boss?
Tina
or-
Fey's boss.
Okay.
Mhm. And she's like, he had these weird things. He was kind of like Mr. Cheezel from Grandma's
Boy.
Boy. He was like, "I would like to reward you with 1 minute of uninterrupted eye contact." And he just grabs her hands and he's like, right in her fucking face.
Where'd you get your weed from, Mr. Cheezel?
From you, Dante.
Oh, what's up,
What's up, Mr. Cheezel?
You do that voice so well.
Dude, it's Dante.
Dante.
I know what he says. I just can't talk through the nose like that.
Dude, I'm way too stoned to drive to the devil's house.
You look like you're scrolling.
I'm just trying to jog my memory of the old Steve Martin movies.
Good old Steve Martin.
Good old
old
Steve
Steve Martin. Because he was in a movie called The Out of Towners, and that sounds
Yeah.
so familiar, but I can't. I read the description like 3 times. I was like, this sounds like Date Night with Steve Carell and Tina Fey.
Well, why don't you read the description to us?
Well, the
Or
description
to the
says,
listeners.
with the children out of the house, Henry and Nancy Clark, played by Steve Martin and Goldie Hawn respectively, head to New York City to embrace their cosmopolitan dreams. Henry has set up a job interview with the advertising firm, and Nancy hopes to add some spice to their marriage. But nothing goes according to plan for the couple, as they endure lost luggage, muggers, a different desk clerk, played by John Cleese, apparently, and a disastrous tour of the city that never sleeps and won't leave them alone. So, it sounds very familiar, but I do not believe I've ever seen this movie. Once again, I'm getting big date night vibes with Steve Carell and Tina Fey.
And Tina Fey. Respectively.
Yeah.
Respectively.
Tina Fey played Steve Carell, and Steve Carell played Tina Fey.
So I'm going to switch gears for a second. Let me ask you this.
Oh, God.
Yeah, it's a serious question.
Serious.
Be prepared.
Three.
Where's my
Do you think it would have added or taken away from him being in Ghostbusters, of some character, maybe not one of the Ghostbusters, but added as something in that movie?
I could see him being a not a funnier version, but a different kind of funny of the assistant. What's her name? Janine.
Janine?
Yeah. So just him being like, "You don't have a fucking ghost. Get the fuck out of here." Who was that? Some guy claiming we have a ghost. Damn it, Steve. That's our job.
So you mean like the remake with the
Yeah,
the
I
girl.
want him to play Chris Hemsworth.
There's
No, I'm talking about the original one.
Yeah.
The only
Yeah, I know.
one.
No, but I want
the
him
only
to
one.
be the Chris
There's-
Hemsworth in the original.
there's a apparently they have a goat on the loose. It's a ghost. Damn it.
Yeah. So I want Steve Martin to play Thor in the original movies. Chris Hemsworth, that's his name.
Do you like me playing saxophone or listening to saxophone?
I just like when he rubs his eyes and it's through the glasses. I'm like, are you not actually wearing glasses? Like, no, I just like the way these look.
Yeah.
See, because I refuse to see the movie, I don't know any of these
it's
references.
Okay. It's all right.
For the listeners.
That's why we're telling you.
For the listeners.
For the listeners.
I don't
For
want
the
to know.
listeners.
He
I don't
loves
wanna know.
Ghostbusters, and he's seen the original 2 and Afterlife, but he refuses to see the one with Kate McKinnon and whatever.
The reboot. Just call it the reboot.
The reboot.
That's all you have to do is call it the reboot or the biggest mistake ever made. Whichever one you choose. I'll leave that up to you. If
Okay
you-
then. All right.
But I'm thinking, like, even if you had him in, like, a small role, like...
Maybe in the second one you can play like the Rick Moranis role.
No, Rick Moranis can only play the Rick Moranis
okay.
role. I'm not talking about, like, replacing anybody. I'm talking about just straight up, like,
Just
adding,
having, like,
him
yeah.
as something. It doesn't have to be a main plot point person. Like,
Him
even if he
being,
was, like, the mayor or something
Well,
instead of...
I was gonna say him being the hotel concierge.
Yeah.
When they first go in there.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, okay.
$5,000?
No, we won't pay that.
I had no idea it'd be so much. I won't pay it.
Oh, we'll just put this back in.
No,
son.
no.
Although I could see him being a great peck. Like, until Dickless here shut off the containment grid. Is this true? Yeah.
Yes, sir. This
man has no dick.
You know, it's funny. He told the story about that guy, and because he always plays the asshole in all the
Yeah.
movies. Like he was the asshole in Die Hard. He
Yep.
was the asshole in A Real Genius.
Yeah.
But he said after that movie came out, when people saw it, he'd be walking down the street and they weren't saying it to insult him. They were like, "Hey, Dickless!" Like when they noticed him,
Right.
They didn't call him by name or say, "Hey, I loved you in Ghostbusters." They're like, "Hey, Dickless."
It's gonna be like the worst pigeonhole ever to be in.
Cats and dogs living together. Mass hysteria.
But I'm thinking, yeah, I like that, like the hotel concierge
Yeah.
guy. I was thinking, like I said, the mayor too. I was thinking maybe instead of, although the one mayor is pretty awesome, the guy that plays the mayor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah,
I mean,
something.
he's what I would imagine any New York mayor ever looks like.
Well, and the reason why I brought that up is because at the
Well, I
time,
mean,
like
we've
he
all
was,
seen Giuliani.
yeah, he was heavy into like with the SNL crew too. Like he knew all them. Obviously, he
Yeah.
did Wild and Crazy Guys with Dan Aykroyd and stuff
Yeah.
like that. And so I just thought, I was like, I wonder why. Like I've read a bunch of stuff about the movie. I've seen all the different documentaries about it, the making ofs. They never once mention anything about like if Steve Martin was even a thought. And I wonder why.
Well, maybe Ghostbusters came out in 1982, right? So that
Dan,
84.
Dan Aykroyd.
84.
yeah.
So they would have
Give us a
filmed
call.
in 1983, and he had 2 movies that year, so it may have been a conflict.
Could have been, but they never once mentioned. Like Eddie Murphy was a conflict, and he was thought of.
Yeah, he was going to play
Winston.
Winston's character.
But
he
that's
had
what
to
I'm
do
saying. It's
Beverly
like,
Hills Cop.
yeah,
and
but-
honestly, solid choice.
yeah, he chose.
Yeah.
And they're coming out with a fourth one,
Oh Lord.
Which one?
with Beverly Hills Cop.
Beverly Hills Cop, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, these guys, no offense, I love all of them, but there's a certain point where you say, I just can't do the way I did it before the same thing.
Yeah.
You get like, Stallone and Schwarzenegger and stuff. It's like, all right, maybe let's let the Terminator be.
What are we at? Expendables 87?
4, actually.
But you know what I'm saying? It's like, what point do you say, hey, listen, we love that you did it. You will always be that character.
Yeah.
You'll always be in our hearts as that character. But it's time to let that dream die and move on to something else.
Never let John Wick die. John Wick 57. Keanu Reeves will be dead for 10 years in his reanimated Weekend at Keanu's movie.
John Wick 57, the puppy kennel.
You know what? I got an idea for the next John Wick, who's going to be the big bad guy enemy. It's going to be freaking his partner from Bill and Ted.
Oh.
Nah.
It's going to be Bill.
That would be funny.
Well,
Alex Winter.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, Alex Winter's going to come out and he's going to be
He's
like,
now head of the table.
no way.
Yeah. Way.
Yes, wait.
Yes, way.
So there's this YouTube
They
channel.
look at each They drop their guns. Like,
George finally comes back from the dead. So I was watching. There's this YouTube channel called Pitch Meeting, where this guy just goes into like one of the Hollywood executives and pitches the script for a movie that came out. So like he just did John Wick 4 not too long ago, and he's like, so in this one there's going to be a guy who's going to come and try and kill John Wick because Ian McShane couldn't do it, and that's going to be the main antagonist. He's like, it's not going to be the high table that we've been building up to for the past three movies. He's like, no, it's going to be this one guy.
one guy.
So if there is a John Wick 5, destroy the high table. Although, let's see how the prequel TV show keeps going, because I'm loving it. I'm digging it. It's on Plex.
Oh, the Continental?
Yeah. I watched Mel Gibson's in it, and he plays a really good role. I watched the first episode. The second one just got added onto there, so I'm going to watch that one.
That's another one. So they're talking about making another Lethal Weapon, too.
Are
And
they?
I'm like, it's time raising Murtaugh to,
I loved the show.
the gun down.
I
Put
thought
the baby bunny back in the box.
I love the television show they did with Damon Wayans and that and the other guy. I can't remember what he was from, but I recognize him from a couple of things.
He must mean a lot to you.
Yeah.
That other guy.
Yeah, that other guy.
You know that other guy.
Well, apparently he was just belligerent and drunk on set, so they canned his ass and they hired Sean William Scott. And then immediately after that, Damon Wayans is like, I'm like 62 years old and diabetic. I cannot keep doing this. So he quit the show, and I think they just canceled it after that. But the first 2 seasons of that show were amazing.
Which, by the way, that's the good old days are long gone now. Because if you can't show up belligerent and drunk
Yeah.
on set, I mean, that's how the Rat Pack always did it.
Exactly.
So the
Dean and
first
Sammy
Superman
and
did it.
Frankie, I mean, they did everything hammered.
That's true.
Nobody bothered them. You know why? Well, half the mob was behind them. But
Yeah, that's besides the point.
Beside the point. But they were artistes. They brought in money. They were showmen.
Yeah.
And they let them do their thing. Nowadays, like,
It's
coming a
called-
little hammered, whatever.
Yeah.
I'm fired.
From
You
what I
can't-
heard,
you
he was like,
You can't come in
belligerent
hammered and
drunk.
slap one of the set girls on her butt. Come on.
I'm pretty sure they allowed that on the cast of the stage of Mad Men. But that's just because Don Draper was.
Because they had to do it while it
John
was
Hamm
filming.
was a method actor.
Yeah. Hey, what's going on, Toots?
Yep.
You just fucking call me Toots.
And Christina Hendricks was just, she's that kind of girl.
Is there a problem with that, Sugar Tits?
Yeah. You can and you will, bitch.
I know I've said this a million times. I still cannot believe that Christina Hendricks is married to the Snosberries taste like Snosberries from Super Troopers.
Oh, that guy?
Yeah. They are one and the same.
Obviously, we know his name, too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He is Snosberry's kid. That's his name. Snosberry's kid.
Yeah.
If you're a fan of this podcast, 1, what's wrong with you? Why are you listening to this? 2,
Shut
tell us your name. I'm not.
Keeping you employed, dumbass.
Yeah.
This podcast is really paying the bills lately.
It is.
Yeah.
You didn't get your rent covered?
No.
Oh, shit.
Ah, damn.
Must have been a mix
Matter
in
of
the
fact, I
bank.
think I still owe Gavin $50.
Yes. So fix the glitch.
Yeah. In time, my friend, in time.
Um,
Patience, my Padawan.
So if we could wrap up Steve Martin, I want to switch gears a little bit for the last part of the show.
Why do you want to wrap up Steve Martin? In a
Because I want to
box?
switch gears a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Why do you want to switch gears?
Well, let's wrap
Just
up
'cause
Steve Martin and I'll tell you.
Just because you want to?
No.
So
There's
just
something I
'cause you
genuinely
want
want to talk about.
Oh. Well, he genuinely wants to talk
I
about
mean,
this.
if it's genuine.
It is genuine.
Audience members, he genuinely wants to talk about
genuinely-
something else other than the topic that we chose for this episode. So,
Which he didn't pick.
all right, I'll tell you this. We'll let the viewers decide. All right, let us know what you think.
Well, we're going live to the phones.
Yep.
This isn't live.
Why is my phone not ringing, Gavin?
Nope, they said no.
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 All right, fine.
Okay, go ahead.
The next
all right,
episode we will
all right,
do.
we
No,
will
go
switch
ahead.
gears. Go ahead. We got about 10, 15 minutes.
Well,
Go
I
ahead.
just wanted to talk about the 3 movies that I've watched in the past week since we've last recorded.
Okay.
One we've already talked about, and the other two I touched on one, and the other one I'd even tell you that I watched, and you're gonna love the fact that I watched it. You've been berating me for 3 years to watch this.
I'd
fucking
really
movie.
like it
Are
if
you
you stopped
pointing
touching
at
me
me?
too.
Both of you.
Okay, cool.
Both of you.
So Patrick did a little bit of his homework, and I wanted to switch gears for the end of this episode to talk about it.
Okay.
So if you guys want to continue talking about Steve Martin, that's fine.
I just
We're-
said go
we're
ahead
giving
and
you the
talk
floor.
to you.
Fine. The first one is Haunted Mansion. If you haven't seen it, like we talked about this a little bit, it's way better than the Eddie Murphy version.
It's delightful.
It's goddamn delightful.
It's Owen Wilson at his classic Owen Wilson self.
Yes.
With his normal
And
commentary, the side,
he's a con man.
side sarcastic,
Yeah.
quiet commentary.
Let me tell you, this mansion's haunted. Okay.
I like how like Ben goes out at midnight and he's like, I'm gonna go say a morning prayer. They're like, it's the middle of the night, not in Rome.
Yep. What he said there, he's like, I asked you if you wanted to be a hero, and I said no, but your eyes said yes.
If you know the lore of the ride, like Madame Leota and all the murders that happened in like that you can figure out through the ride, that they put it all into the movie, and it's done very, very well. So if you're a fan of the ride and like when you're waiting in line to get into the ride, you know that like little puzzle like who killed who you could solve while in line.
Mm-hmm.
They actually have those ghosts in there. They have the hitchhiking ghost and the psychic lady. She's actually in a big dome like chair and it actually gets flipped around and then turned down some stairs like you do in the ride, like you're being fallen out of the attic. It was just genuinely very well done. And
Yeah, I enjoyed it. I will say it is a little slow for the first 10 minutes.
Yeah, I will say that.
But once you actually get all the characters kind of together, or at least 2 or 3 of the main characters together, then it starts
when
moving.
Ben gets to the house and like Owen Wilson's there, Rosario Dawson's
Yeah.
there, and they're all trying to figure out what the hell's going on.
Yeah.
And then you could see like little glimpses, like
Okay.
when Rosario Dawson left the house, the 2 hitchhiking ghosts were in the back seat. I thought that was a nice little addition. The infinite hallway with the floating candelabra, and there was in a couple of shots. The dining room scene with the duelists, I thought that was really cool.
Yep.
Yeah.
And I like how like when they they banish the big bad, all the ghosts just stick around. They're like, yeah, this is just our house now. Like, we live with 100 ghosts.
As long as they're not bothering you.
Yeah, it's like Beetlejuice.
Hey, stop it. We don't want that guy running around here.
See, I only said it once. But at the end of the movie, Winona Ryder, Alec Baldwin starts playing the music and everything, and the dad's like, oh, she must have done well in her math test. And then the wife just pulls out the head of Beetlejuice, like, ah! I think I'll keep this one. And I am I won't say I'm looking forward to it, but I am skeptically anticipating enjoying the new one that's coming out.
Okay.
Just because it's been God knows how many years since the first one came out, like what, 88, 89,
Yep,
somewhere in there?
88.
Yeah.
The year before Batman.
Yeah.
Yep.
So it's my only concern about the new one coming out. It's been so long since the last movie. Like I just don't know how they're just gonna pick up right from there.
Hey, Michael Keaton picked right back up as Batman.
Yes,
That's
he
true.
did.
No problem.
Yeah, but the dad, Ed Rooney, he got in a lot.
Jeffrey Jones.
Jeffrey Jones. He's gotten a lot of trouble recently. I don't think he's gonna be in the movie.
No.
The other movie that I watched was Get Out. The really good. I've always wanted to see it, never had a chance, but I was just scrolling through Netflix last night, actually, when I got home from the supermarket I work on. I was like, oh, let's watch Get Out. There were a couple of times like, I should not be watching this at like 11 o'clock at night. But it wasn't actually that bad or that scary or anything. It was very tense at times.
I'm
But
going to freak you out every time you're near me. I'm going to start spinning a spoon in a cup.
I know your tricks. But no, it was. I thought it was really cool.
See, that's the good thing about scary and suspenseful movies is, if you live alone, watch one of those, you won't feel alone.
Yeah. There's a meme out there, like, there's nothing greater, there's nothing more joyful than the sound of a baby's laughter, except when it's 3 a.m., you're home alone, and you don't have a baby.
That's just creepy.
Yeah, please never do that again. That's my Christmas gift from you to me. Never do that again.
In horror, suspense, or any type of thriller type movie, babies and little girls
Yeah.
are the creepiest things in movies.
Yeah.
Come play with us, Tony.
Yeah.
And then an elevator opens and like a torrent of blood
Blood,
comes
yeah.
out.
Oh no!
I ain't going to that hotel.
Nope.
Actually, a friend of mine, he got his master's degree from Colorado State University, and he was going to fly out. He did it all online, but he was going to fly out there for the graduation. He was actually going to stay in the Shining Hotel out there.
Okay.
They had to cancel it, unfortunately, so he had to do it via Zoom. But
The Overlook.
yeah, the Overlook Hotel. He was really excited. Him and his wife were really bummed that they didn't get to stay in that hotel.
Bum, 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 bum,
Yeah, but
bum,
they're still alive now,
Then-
so.
Just edit this into a slide. Sad face.
All right, so what's this?
Well, hold on.
oh, okay. Are
One
you
last
still on
thing
Get
about-
Out?
One last thing.
One last thing about Get Out.
Okay.
So the premise is like they're transferring their consciousness into black
man.
people.
Black people.
Yes. But the problem is they did that with Grandpa and Grandma, but then Grandma and Grandpa became the maid and like the groundskeeper. Like, why would I got a new lease on life? You know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna pour my daughter lemonade every day because she says so.
Well, because they
Well,
hadn't
if
been.
your daughter was able to transfer your brain into any body she chose, I think you're kind of under their kind of control.
Yeah, and I mean that's the thing is like I don't think they had like fully phased out. Like they could still have relapse.
Well, that's how he survives the end. He uses the flash on his phone, so Grandpa becomes alive, shoots the daughter. Spoilers, then kills himself. And then he gets away because his TSA friend comes by and he's like, "I'm TSA, bitch. We know everything."
Sex slaves.
Yeah.
That's what you're gonna say. Sex slaves.
I told you.
I like when he's talking to the cop. He's like, "Yo, I'm from TSA, so we have the same training. As a matter of fact, I think we have more training out of the TSA."
Well, the funny thing is, I saw an interview about that. About when the movie was coming out, and he said the funny thing is like that guy who plays that side character, his buddy,
his best friend.
He's like he actually ends up being right about everything right away. Like his immediate thing is like, oh no, I know what they do to these black. They keep them, and whatever, and they turn you into some sex. It's like it's basically they sold Peele. Jordan Peele.
Mm-hmm.
He said they told him he's like, yeah, he kind of is the one that knew everything right away. Nobody listened to him.
I actually looked up the IMDb. Keegan is actually in this movie as NAACP prospect number 1, uncredited. I scoured that movie looking for him. He has no lines. I could not find him to save my life.
Well, we found Steve Martin with black hair.
Yep.
Anything's possible
Yeah,
now.
I just got to
Don't
go
worry.
back and watch it out again.
Don't worry, we'll get it.
So we got a few minutes left.
Yeah.
So you want to hit on your? You
One
said
last
you had a
movie.
movie you saw, right?
Yes. So I'm going to see if you both had one guess. There's a movie you've been talking about and asking me to see for the past 3 years.
Let's pull out the hard drive to figure that out.
No, fine. Fair
No,
enough.
I'm sorry, but give us something more than that.
Yeah.
Vince Vaughn movie.
Swingers?
No, I've seen Swingers. It's all right in my book.
Wait, we've been telling you to watch it?
Yeah.
Harping on you to watch it?
Yes.
Can you give us a genre?
Comedy. I mean, it's Vince
A
Vaughn.
closer genre than, well, not technically. I mean, you did Psycho.
Rom-com.
The breakup?
No. Close.
4 Christmases?
No. No, now you're going.
Couples
the opposite.
Retreat?
Yeah, there we go.
I thought you saw that.
Yeah.
No,
thought
I've
you
never
did.
seen
Oh.
Couples Retreat.
What?
Yeah, until Tuesday.
Okay.
4 days ago.
Clear.
Sorry, blacked out. Sorry, blacked out. I could have sworn you said you'd seen that.
No, I've never seen Couples Retreat.
Well, here we are.
Well, I mean, I have now. I can say that as of right now, I've seen Couples Retreat.
I'm so glad we took away Steve Martin to hear that bit of flipping news. You disappointed, kill me so. You Glass House now.
Yeah. Not me, Glass House. You Glass
You're a
House.
problem.
You're a real
You're
problem.
a problem. Real problem.
Real problem that I did my homework and I watched a movie you've been telling me to for years.
I could have sworn you said you saw it though.
No.
At one point, I know at one point you said you didn't see it.
No.
Okay.
All
I
right.
mean,
Now
if we want to go back and listen to the 110 episodes that we're at this point.
Now you're up to speed with everybody else in the universe.
Yes. Well, I don't know. Maybe Vince Vaughn doesn't watch his homework. Maybe he's never seen
I'm
it.
pretty sure he's watched that one.
I'm sure he's seen it.
Maybe John.
He didn't
Favreau?
have to. He lived it.
That was. You guys have been saying this entire time. It is a very funny movie. Especially with Cedric the Entertainer, and he's like, "I'm not wearing any drawers. Like it's fine." He's like, "Oh God, is his dong out?" Yeah, now it's a party.
That's not Cedric
That's
the
not,
Not
I was
Cedric.
gonna say, wait a second. I was just kind of staring, letting it go on.
Just let him cook. Just let him cook.
Well, fine, whoever it may be. But I just like how John Favreau is trying to get over to the single island the entire time.
I'm just thinking like the Ben Affleck that you black, you Cedric the Entertainer.
Yeah, yeah.
Like everybody's Cedric the Entertainer.
Kill it, reindeer games.
Wow. For those of you who think we're racist, we're really not. Even though Patrick thinks that everybody who's black looks like Cedric the Entertainer.
Oh, everybody. Yeah. Ben from Haunted Mansion, that's Cedric the Entertainer.
He literally just said it, ladies and gentlemen. So if you want to hate somebody, this guy right here.
Look, man, I'm just saying, let her spend the night out on Hump Island. I don't want her to spend the night on Hump Island.
Oh, now she's dead, Dave?
I'm just not saying that like she's dead or anything. That she's dead? Dead on Hump Island.
I'm happy you finally saw it.
Yeah. It was a really good movie.
No shit.
Glad you guys have been recommending it to me for 3 years.
I mean, seriously, look, your wife jumped into shark-infested waters and did a distance swim. She had no way to train for to get away from you. You're smothering her. And now you're smothering me, and you're smothering Shane.
Yeah, don't smother me.
Don't smother me.
Man. So his character, Shane's character, and that reminded me very much of, and I hate that I can't remember the guy's name, but
Cedric the Entertainer?
No, not Cedric, but from Tag.
Oh,
Like
yeah.
those,
That's
two
Hannibal
personalities.
Buress.
Yeah, those two personalities, like the personality in
Yeah.
those characters, reminded me so much of each other.
Exactly. Yeah.
Don't smother me, man.
So yes, that was Patrick did his mini homework.
Yeah.
Haunted Mansion, Get Out, and Couples Retreat. And the wife of Vince Vaughn in that movie is the girl from Watchmen, right?
Yep.
And if you switch around the order of the movies, the couples went on retreat to a haunted mansion, then they wanted to get out. Oh, what did I just do there? Oh, shit. Oh, shit. Yes, okay. We're going to take a moment of silence now.
Unfortunately, Steve Martin was not in
Yeah.
any of those.
But he should have been, man.
I would love to have seen him in the Haunted Mansion movie. That would have been... I think he would have been a good fit in that one.
Yeah, I think he could have been.
I think he would have been the a good guru in the love guru in Couples Retreat.
Oh. So, the French actor who played Leon...
They're just lemon sharks.
what's his name, Tony?
Who?
The French actor who played, like, the couples, like, organizer and...
I only know
founder.
him as
Leon the
Leon.
Professional.
Yeah, the professional.
Yeah. Well, he said, my name is blah, blah, blah. I was like, no, it's not. It's Leon.
Yeah, yeah.
You will always be Leon.
And
Like,
when
I
you-
said that in my kitchen to my phone as I'm watching the movie.
Well, now that I know you've seen Couples Retreat, and you said that, we weren't making any money on this because we get paid in smiles.
Yeah, that's true. I love that guy played one of the best characters in John Wick 2.
Oh yeah,
He was the sommelier.
Yeah.
And he was also the Tick in the reboot of The Tick.
Yep.
It's the same guy.
Yep.
Senor Marcel.
Senor Marcel.
Maybe you'll be more comfortable with the sandals. What's it gonna get sandals? Sandals rocks. But we are about out of time, though, so we do have to wrap this up. Again, thank you, everybody, for joining us. And Steve Martin and Patrick did his homework.
Yes. Mini part 1.
Mini part 1, yes. Well, it's an ongoing thing.
Yeah,
As you all know,
It's
if you
constantly.
just now joined us, you should know by now. Or if you haven't just now joined us.
If this is your first episode, you should still know by the end of this episode, I have not seen as many movies as you two. So I have a very long list of things to watch. Like, Father of the Bride Part 2. I don't think I've ever seen the
Part
sequel.
two.
Part 2.
Duh.
But we'll talk about that on the next one. But again, thank you, everybody, for joining us.
Or the
Again, continue to check us out on...
Please check us out on Spotify, YouTube. We're also on like 26 other platforms, but
and then some.
yeah, they just keep grabbing our ass feed and like, yeah, that's ours. But like I said, please like, comment, and subscribe. It really does help the algorithm, gets our show out to more people. I don't know why they're biting their lips. Like,
I'll say it
go to
when
hell.
you're done with your spiel, because no, keep going, you're good.
So just smash that like button.
I was just laughing because it sounded like you said they just keep grabbing our ass.
Yeah.
That's what I thought you
Hey,
said.
just keep grabbing our arse.
Our arse.
Our
Our arse and feet.
Our arse
When you
and
get
feet.
so Scottish.
Keep grabbing our arse and feet. But yeah, so definitely
Stupid
check us out
fucking
on there.
poll.
And we are still in the process. I believe it's going to be beginning of 2024 is when Elevation Films will be launching their streaming service. So check us out there. But continue to check us out
We're
on all the
also
other
on the
platforms.
internet radio,
Yep.
www.
WDBFradio.fm or WDBFradio.com. You can find them either way. We are available there on Sundays, so that is a live stream. So that is available on Sundays from 11 a.m. to 12 p.m. every Sunday. And then as we launch a new episode every Wednesday. So check us out.
And no one has emailed us to talk to us at movietills.com. So the challenge is still going. The first person who sends us an email, I personally, Patrick Wall, will read it on the episode. And, just like, we have an email from Alex Smith, the former quarterback from the Niners. He's a big fan.
Yeah. Out of everybody, that's the one we're going to get. Hey, it's me, Alex Smith.
Yeah. I will read that. It doesn't matter what it says. It could say, you guys suck, hang up the microphones. I will read it. We will not do that, but I will read it.
Yes. I want to see him read it.
I'll read it. Send us that email. You know what?
Yes.
Send us, if we get 5 within 10 minutes, I'll read all 5 of them.
All right. Well, you guys listen up and do that. So until then, for next week for Movie Talks and Chill, we're your hosts. I'm Tony Serrato.
I'm Gavin Butts.
I'm Patrick Wall.
All right, guys. Take care.